All right, good afternoon, folks. Eric Abbey here with my guest and good friend, Allan Urizar, and we are coming to you to do Arbitrage Q&A. So, Allan, say hello, give a greeting to our folks.
Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here and excited to be almost getting to the holidays and time to be with family and see a lot of family that I don't see during the year or for a long time sometimes. So I'm very excited to be here and help you guys out and answer any questions that you guys have for Arbitrage.
Yeah. So Merry Christmas to you guys. We're just a few days away. My in-laws are flying in 2 days, and I'm looking forward to seeing them. Hi, Brad. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Bob. Good to see you guys with us. I'm sure others are joining. Raul, hi. Happy fourth quarter. Hopefully it's been, for those of you who sell on Amazon and have inventory that's been active for the last 3 months, I hope it's gone well. I hope you've had good success. This is the fun time of the year to see your sales ramp up, and price per item tends to be higher than at any other time of the year. I know I've bought a couple things for my kids, and I didn't break the bank, but I paid more for those items than I probably would have if it had been just a regular time of the year, because I want to have certain things under the tree for the kiddos, and that's just kind of the way it works. So when you're on the selling end of that, that's kind of fun. You sell a lot of products, and you can sell them at a higher price. So, Allan, how's your quarter four continued to go? And just kind of give us a summary. We talked about it at length last week, but give us a summary about how your fourth quarter's been.
Oh man, it's been crazy. It's been very fun because the previous years, I haven't had a lot of inventory. So this year it's been very exciting to be all the sales as soon as Black Friday started, everything started to increase, and now I see that sales are kind of slowing down, but we already see all the increase on sales. I was telling you right now that my inventory is getting smaller and smaller, and I don't have enough inventory to keep getting those big numbers. But I'm happy that we've been able to have a great Q4. I think overall the Q4 is being amazing, and hopefully we'll keep doing great for next month. We're actually just finishing up our shipment for getting ready for next month. So we'll see what happens in January. But it's been great, man. I'm very happy of this year's numbers.
Good. I'm encouraged to hear that, and we will talk about January a little bit in a minute. Badur, I see you. Mohammed, Junior Garcia, welcome. Well, we want to do Arbitrage Q&A for this hour, so whatever questions you guys have, whatever you're thinking about and wrestling with, please let us know what those are. Allan and I are both coaches with Just One Dime, and we this year have launched a new membership called Amazon Arbitrage Mastery, and we are really excited about it. We've had tons of people join. People are seeing success. We have folks right here in the U.S. that are doing retail arbitrage and finding success. They're doing online arbitrage and finding success. We have international sellers from all around the world who join our membership. They sometimes do arbitrage from other locations, so retail arbitrage, that is. So I know of members who are in the UK, and they're doing retail arbitrage and taking advantage of the system that Amazon has in place in the UK. But probably the majority of our international sellers set up shop in the U.S. and they get an account established there. They sell on Amazon.com. They take advantage of prep centers, and we coach through all that in the program, in the membership. So it's been fun in 2019 as we kind of wrap up the year to think about how we launched this new membership and how a lot of our members are having good success. And so I want to invite you, if you've been selling on Amazon, I sold on Amazon for over 2 years before I became a member of any coaching program. I joined Just One Dime, and I felt like my ability to sell took off in significant ways because there was so much I hadn't learned because I wasn't a part of a community. I was just doing it basically on my own. And so some of you are selling and you're maybe doing well and you just want to take your business to the next level. Check out the links below. If you look at Amazon Arbitrage Mastery, that membership really could help you take your business to the next level. Some of you maybe do private label and you want to add to your repertoire, and this would be a great opportunity for you to do something else. Maybe you do wholesale and you want to start doing arbitrage. And so I just invite you to take a look at the link below. Some of you are maybe frustrated because you've been trying to sell on Amazon and it's not going well. And a membership like ours could really help you to, learn what are the mistakes you're making that are keeping you from being successful. And then some of you have watched YouTube videos and kind of studied a lot, but you've never pulled the trigger on actually selling. Maybe you've gotten your seller account set up, but you've never used it. And I just encourage you, as we're thinking about approaching a new year, this is one of the best times to jump in and get started. January is a great month, and it will be a great month for you to accelerate. And then you can build up your inventory and really start thinking through a year-long strategy for you to establish an online business. Allan and I are huge proponents of thinking down the road and saying, where could I be in a year, in 3 years, in 5 years, as I seek to set up and build an e-commerce business. And that's what our membership's all about. It's a lot more than just selling on Amazon, which we're convinced is the great opportunity to jump on right now. But we're trying to think through how can we have an e-commerce mindset as a part of Just One Dime. So, Allan, as you think about January, what are a couple principles that you would help our viewers think through? Christmas shopping is starting to come to a close. We might get some sales over the weekend. And that's a cool thing about Amazon FBA is there are people who can buy and get really fast prime delivery. And so your Christmas selling season pushes right up against the 24th. But after that passes, Allan, how do you tend to think about the new year in the month of January as an Amazon seller?
Well, I think that a lot of people, they forget about January because, everybody's excited and trying to build up enough inventory to, for October, November, December. But out of the first 6 months of the year, January to June, July, the best month sometimes is January because you're going to carry a lot of people that are going to, do some late shopping or a lot of people that get money as a gift. A lot of people, that they bought gifts for everybody, and then after all the holidays and everything, they buy something for themselves or they just finish up. They didn't have enough time. So January is always going to be a big month if you prepare, if you get ready for that, for that 1 month of the year. So we always like to start thinking, after we got finished with all the inventory for December, we start thinking about what's going to happen in January. There's a lot of people that they're still going to buy, some kind of gift for either themselves or people that are traveling outside the U.S. They tend to buy a little bit, or people that were outside the U.S. and they're coming back. They buy some kind of gifts. But then a lot of people are going to start buying categories like accessories, exercise, for exercise and accessories. A lot of people are going to start buying those kind of gifts. So we're getting ready to do, when we start getting ready for January, we start looking for clothing that is going to be for exercise. We start looking for accessories for exercise, and that's the kind of stuff that we're starting to send items to Amazon. Not so much, gifts anymore, but we're starting to send a lot of clothing products and, shoes and stuff like that, because a lot of people are going to start getting into that mode, that exercise mode, new resolutions and all of that. So we've been sending a lot of. We actually went to Marshall's a couple nights ago, and we found socks, and that's one of the things that I always smile, because arbitrage and selling online, sometimes it's not really sexy, it's not exciting. It's just, we found some socks that are selling for $7.99. Amazon is still selling for $26.99, and the average is about $20. So, we just got a whole bunch of them. They're just clearing off the whole shelf with $7.99 pricing, and we just got all of that, and then we sent it to Amazon, and that's something that it's gonna sell really fast because the pricing that we have, and then the ranks that product has is like 2,000, 3,000 rank, so it's always gonna sell, and we just it's just part of the business. But a lot of people don't look for those products because they're looking for that exciting new toy or that exciting a product, and sometimes it's just something as boring as a bag of socks for men.
Yeah, so Salima, there's a good example of a deal that Allan's found lately. I've sold socks too. They can be great, and people are buying them year round. And people always need them. Kids are always growing into new sizes, and people are always putting holes in theirs. And Allan, do you know off the top of your head what the ROI for those is?
Well, it was I think it was close to $6 profit, and the price was $7.99. So it was at least 70% ROI on those.
Yeah, so that sounds like 75 to 80% ROI. You know what? Part of what we try to do in this program is to encourage you that there are opportunities. And again, our Amazon Arbitrage Mastery membership has proven that there are a ton of arbitrage opportunities because we have members joining all the time, and they're joining and finding success. And we try to give you examples of those things. And so, as the calendar unfolds month by month, all sorts of deals are coming along, and sometimes they're clothing. And so in this case, my goodness, you buy a bag of these socks, you take them home. All you've got to do is some simple prep. You want to make sure that any price tags or labels that are on these products are removed. You don't want to say clearance or to have a $7.99 price tag on it. Exactly. And then slide those into a poly bag, because anything that's fabric, like a plush animal, a clothing item, hats, even my books, I poly bag. So there's a lot of things, with a pair of socks, you would poly bag that, print and affix your FN SKU, and you can send that off to Amazon FBA. Allan's going to be selling these very quickly because he can prep those and send them in. And that's as simple as it is. Arbitrage is finding an item in one market where you can pay something like $7.99 and then turn around and sell it in another market for $20 or $25. And Amazon.com gives us this great worldwide market that we can often leverage in a really convenient way to make money. So I can't think of any other time in history where somebody who is in, the South or the Southeast of the United States could buy a pair of socks, turn around and sell them to a grandmother in Seattle, Washington within days. But here we are. This is where we live, and this is what we do, and this is the kind of opportunity that we have. So let's see your questions for Arbitrage. This is how we want to spend our time, is responding to your questions, interacting with how you're doing. So even if there are frustrations or obstacles that you're running up against, we want to know how you're doing. How's your mind? How's your heart as you're wrestling through your Amazon business, as you're thinking about e-commerce, as you're trying to do arbitrage? Mohammed, I'd love more clarification on your question. You're talking about product selection and competition, but I don't really understand what you're asking. So let's get some good questions going, and let's generate some momentum for what we can discuss. Getting back to the topic of January, I do think a lot of times sellers make the mistake of seeing, Christmas as the finish line for their big push. Typically, people do spend the first half of the year. I mean, you're always making sales. So if you're doing good product analyzation, you're finding products with a low BSR, and those products are indicating that they're going to sell quickly, then you're going to sell things in February for sure, March, April. You're going to be making sales all the time. But you, as a general trend, if you push really hard in the first half of the year, you're going to be seeing your inventory build and increase as you move closer to the second half. And then as you move into the fourth quarter, sales are so rapid and so strong that often it will in large measure deplete your inventory. And a lot of people, if I have a product that's 2 or 3 months old and it's September or October, I'm going to hold that product in my inventory because I know the fourth quarter is coming. If it's February and I have a product that's old like that, I have a different mindset. I want to move quickly to try to get rid of that inventory so I'm not incurring long-term storage fees. But my encouragement isn't to view Christmas as your finish line. I think Allan's right. And every year that I've sold on Amazon, and I've been doing it for over 5 years, I have clearly seen that January is the best month in the first half of the year. And so if you do have inventory that you're going to want to kind of liquidate at some point, I would view the end of January as being that finish line when you want to start doing that. Would you agree, Allan?
Yeah, I do. I do. I think a lot of people, they get excited, in about Christmas, and then when they don't see a lot of the sales going on, they start lowering the price, at the beginning of December. And I think that's the best price. That's the best time for us to increase our pricing a little bit, because a lot of people are going to be buying, and they won't care about the price too much, in the last few weeks before Christmas. And then in January, after the second or third week, that's when you can start trying to figure out if you have some product that you want to liquidate, or if you start dropping the price, because after that you're gonna want to have very good quality inventory for the rest of the year.
Good. Mohammed just repeated the exact same question, so he didn't.
I think it's talking about private label, and how do you do product selection when you have, depending on the kind of competition. So that's more about private label. And Mohammed, you can find a lot more videos about product selection in our channel. Just browse for how to find good products, and Seth and Dan and the other coaches, they talk a lot about finding products depending on the competition for private label.
Yeah, and when it comes to arbitrage, our product selection is based on the data that Amazon gives you. So I want to analyze a product and know what is the BSR, what's the best seller ranking, and I want to know what the selling price is, and be assured that that is an accurate representation of what the selling price has been over time. And in our Amazon Arbitrage Mastery membership, we break these down in great detail, so you know how to really think well about the BSR in multiple categories. You know how to think about the price and identify if it's an inflated price, or how to recognize that price over time. And in arbitrage, we do a little bit of thinking about competition. I know there's a lot we do in our membership to break down competition, and you're trying to look at who you're competing with within the same listing, though, right? Are there multiple sellers in that listing? Are those FBA sellers or FBM sellers? How many? What quantity do each of those sellers have in stock, and how are they going to be competing for that specific listing? So those are relevant categories to be thinking about with arbitrage. And those are all topics that you want to learn and master and deep dive on, so that when you're looking at a product in a store or online, you're not just, I say this every time, but you're not buying products that you hope will sell or think might sell, or you're like, ooh, I like this, I would be inclined to buy this. And so you throw it in the cart and you buy it. And we're saying make educated decisions, calculated decisions based on the data. And really, that's why there's content for us to dive into in our membership, because if you think about that rightly, you're eliminating a ton of the risk, and you're mitigating the potential risk. And so, I do think there's relevant variables in play. But if Mohammed's focused on private label, it is kind of for a different place. Yeah. Deborah says, Allan, that you mentioned in one of your last videos that you have people buy things for you. Maybe you can explain a little bit about that. Mentioned VAs, mentioned some of that.
Sure.
Allan in the last year or two has worked really hard to expand the scope of his business, and he's best been able to do that by leveraging other people to be working with him. And so speak to that, Allan, because I think it's helpful.
Yeah, so basically what I'm doing now is I'm having other people go out and look for products in different cities. So for example, they don't really have to know how to buy. We have tools that we can use, so they don't really have to know how to find products. They just use a specific app that we have, and if it gives you a green, they buy it. If it gives you a red, then they skip it and they go to the next one. And then we have a couple of people that they're learning how to source, how to sell on Amazon. So we've been training them on what kind of products to find, and there's different ways to pay people to do that. One way is whatever they buy, as long as it meets your criteria, you pay them a fee per item. So, for example, if you find items on most categories, I'm willing to pay you $1 per item, almost kind of like a prep center. But if they find an item, I pay $1. Or if it's a shoe, then I'm willing to pay $2 for that item, as long as it meets that criteria. And then there's another scenario where you can pay by percentage. So if you buy all of these items and we're able to sell it on Amazon, I'll give you 10-15% of that profit. So those are two different ways, how you can structure the relationship with this person, and then as much they can buy as much as they can, and as much as you have capital to invest, and they just let them go out, find the products, and then you prep it and send it to Amazon. So that's the way we've been doing it with a few people here in Houston and in Florida, and also online. So we have one person that has been doing it online for us, and then a few people that are doing it retail for us.
Good. And another thing that you can do to expand the scope of your business in a similar way is to use a virtual assistant or multiple virtual assistants. And in an Amazon Arbitrage Mastery, we just published a whole series of videos that goes through everything you need to know in regard to VAs, where to find them, how to pay them, how to approach your relationship with your assistants, the various tasks that they can do. Again, our membership has tons of bonus material where we do really deep dives into specific topics, and virtual assistants is one of those that might be of interest to you guys. Let's see. Salima says, did you guys build up some cash reserves for your living expenses before starting your business? If so, how much savings did you end up using before generating enough from the business? Allan can answer in a second. Salima, I didn't have any cash reserves set aside for the business or for my living expenses. What I started to do, I guess I had enough money in my savings account that I could spend a couple $100, and I knew it wouldn't hurt me. And so I was willing to take that risk. And if I lost a couple $100, my family wasn't going to be in jeopardy. So I went out and I did that, and I started slow, and I saw that the first couple $100 I spent worked. The items sold, and I got a payout back, and I had some inventory left. And so after I did that a couple times, I got a little more confident, and I probably spent over the first 4 weeks or so, 4 to 6 weeks, I probably spent $1,000 to $2,000. Now, some of that was revenue that I had generated through earlier sales, and I just put that money back into the business. And some of it, I was using credit cards. And again, I knew I could cover my expenses, so I wasn't being foolish with credit. But I used credit cards, and it bought me 30 days, basically, of time, sometimes more, until I had to really give an account for that money. So again, use your credit wisely. I knew I had the money to cover it, but I can't remember exactly, what I had to pull out of a savings account in order to cover some expenses in order to get started. And it took me probably 4 months of building my inventory, reinvesting my payouts until I got to a place where, I had several hundred items in my inventory and my bottom line was even. So I wasn't in any debt. I had replaced any money that I had loaned to the business, so to speak. And yeah, I had hundreds of items in my inventory, and I knew now I was moving forward into a place of making profit. And there's one particular video in the membership where I go through the whole process and I show numbers of what it looked for me. Again, everybody's different, but for me, I kind of took a slower approach than maybe what you'll hear from Allan. And I was a little skeptical, so I needed to get confidence. And once I got confidence, then I was fine. But again, I was doing it on my own, so I didn't have anybody teaching me how to do the product research. I think for you guys, you could come in with just a couple $100. You could focus on learning the right way to analyze a product so that you had maximum confidence. And you could be making quick sales that would turn into payouts that you could reinvest. And it wouldn't take this massive amount of cash up front because you would generate momentum based on your own ability to sell. Allan, what was your experience like? How was it different than mine? And maybe what are some of the things you'd recommend our viewers think about if they're wanting to get started?
My situation was a little bit different because, when we started, we did the first 3 months, we did it part-time. So June, July, and August, we were just doing it part-time, just investing a little bit of money. The first shipment we sent, We sent a lot of stuff from our house, and also about $175 worth of inventory that we purchased, and we started seeing a few sales. So we figure, okay, this works. You can actually sell something on Amazon, which I've been a customer for, an Amazon customer buying products for a very long time, many years. I never thought I could sell something on Amazon. So that was the first thing. We were able to figure out this, it works. You can sell. And then the next few months, we were doing it just part-time. And then we saw that we were selling, a little bit more, and we were investing a little bit more. But then after 3 months, we decided we were going to sell our trucking business. So we sold everything, and we came out, after we sold everything, we had a pretty big investment that we could do. So we started investing, and we actually went full-time. But for the first 7 months, I didn't get any money out of the business. We just invested money, and we had enough money to cover our expenses from savings and whatever we had from the sale of our business. So the first 7 months we didn't get any money out, and then after that, we've been living off of our online business for the last 3 years, and I never had to open another business or going back to the trucking business. And that's one of the things that every month I just tell my wife, okay, great, this is another month that I don't have to go back and driving, because it was killing me. After 9 years of driving over the road, it was a really hard business. But we, the first 7 months we didn't get anything, and then after that we started, we get enough money to cover our expenses, and everything else we're trying to invest so we can keep building our business.
That's good. Yeah, if you want to make 1 or 2 quick flips to make a bunch of money, arbitrage on Amazon is not the path to take. If you're really skilled at construction and you want to flip a house, that has good potential. If you can buy cars that have been flooded and get them working and sell those, that's kind of one way to do individual flips. But with arbitrage, we're really advocating building a long-term e-commerce business where you're taking a lot of different items and building an inventory and thinking about how you can crunch the numbers and work the numbers and just become an expert seller on Amazon to establish long-term consistent cash flow that will give you margin in your business rather than 1 or 2 big wins. We're just wanting to advocate steady growth and ability to have a consistent margin in your budget. Now you can use that as a foundation to move into something like private label, which maybe has greater potential for passive income, and maybe you can use arbitrage to generate some capital, because a lot of times private label requires a larger investment in the beginning. But we're just advocating for a long-term business that'll give you margin, which is why our experience is often like that. And that's really the roadmap we use in our membership, is to help you have something that's going to be generating margin for you in years to come. Both Mohammed and Junior Garcia make other comments about, Mohammed clarifies, I just wanted to know 3 or 4 things that you can look for doing arbitrage in terms of what products to select. Junior Garcia says, do you know what you're looking for before you go out to buy products? And this is the thing with arbitrage. Allan and I have both kind of settled into certain niches that we feel like work for us. And so I pick on Allan all the time because he loves women's shoes. That just means it's become a place, that's a product that he has seen work for him, and he knows, his experience has taught him of a number of locations where he can go and find deals that often work for him. And so now he's just exploiting the fact that he's discovered that and working it over and over again, taking advantage of that opportunity as much as he can. I have a couple individual locations here locally that I've just developed really good relationships with the managers and the people working there, and that's generated opportunity for me. But we don't discriminate at all. And no, most of the time when I'm going out to do retail arbitrage, I'm not looking for a particular product. I might be following a pattern. As you get more experienced, I know this tends to work, this tends to work. But a lot of times it's this clearance end cap tends to have good deals. It's always different products, but I just know kind of how the store runs. Or, maybe there's a particular kind of product that I can find on a segment of a website that often produces the sort of products that I can get. But we really don't narrow it down. I don't have 2 or 3 products to recommend you go find. I think you want to go and so broadly when it comes to looking for opportunities, and try clothes and try shoes and try tools and try games and try toys. And you'll bump into restrictions, but you'll find some opportunities in each one. And then, if you can find a product you can go back and replenish your inventory with, that's great. But you're really on a treasure hunt to find products. And once in a while you find openings of opportunity that become kind of permanent places of exploration for you. So now when you're looking for opportunities, there's probably going to be a bunch here, and there's going to be a bunch of opportunities here, and you get more experience at doing it. But you're never really pigeonholed by a particular product or a kind of product, which is what's fun about it. That's one of the advantages to it. Now, you need to be working hard consistently to find those opportunities and to take advantage of them, but you're never really cornered. Alan, I'll let you field this. Mike's asking about Alibaba. Most products require a big investment for poor products. Do you do any kind of arbitrage using a site like Alibaba?
No, we don't use Alibaba. The main reason is because arbitrage is mainly finding high quality or big brands that are retail brands in the US. So, Alibaba, of course, they have a lot of products, but a lot of products are, they don't have a big brand, or they're not, big brands. So we don't buy for arbitrage. We don't buy anything from China or from other countries. We just buy everything here in the US.
Yeah, and if you do, it's a real easy way to get into trouble with intellectual property complaints. And, you're kind of selling knockoffs. You want to find quality brand products that match brand listings with precision, and then you're safe. Chan says, Alan, he's seeing Amazon Warehouse selling his product as used. Is there actually something called Amazon Warehouse that you've seen selling before?
Yes, for private label sellers, what happens is that every time Amazon either damages a product, one of your products gets damaged, they sometimes they will refund you the money, or they will give you part of the money, but then they will try to sell it, and they usually sell it as an Amazon warehouse deal. Most of the warehouse deals are going to be open boxes, or items that maybe they lost the product and then they pay you, and then they found it, so they have to, they want to move it and try to sell it. So you will see sometimes those kind of deals, or in any listing, every time you see that, that's because they either already pay the seller for that item, and it's still, they can still sell it as a used item. But that's the only time I've seen the warehouse deals on any of the listings.
Good. James is saying that he's been scanning with the seller app. Let's see, but how do I know the sales volume the items sells for besides BSR? I would say BSR is how you know what the sales volume is, because that's exactly what the bestseller rank is communicating to you, is where it falls on the selling spectrum. So if you want to know sales volume, you need to know how it's ranked. Now, one thing that's helpful to know, James, is you can take advantage of a website called FBA Toolkit. These tools are really helpful to know about, which is another benefit of the membership. We run the gamut with all these tools, and we take deep dives into the more complex tools to help you know how you can fortify your business with these other instruments and tools that are going to help you move things forward. But the cool thing about FBA Toolkit, James, is there's a feature with that website that's free. If you go to the website, you can take the BSR, say your BSR is 97,500 in the toys and games category. You go to FBA Toolkit, right in that first page, find the little graph that has the toys and games category, and type in that BSR 97,500, and it's going to tell you precisely what the sales volume has been over the last 30 days, I think. And then you just apply some common sense. The sales volume a month from now probably isn't going to be the same as what it has been in the last 30 days, but it's still a really good indicator. of what the sales volume has looked like, and it helps you to pivot and make a decision for the future. Deborah's got a follow-up. Is the system in your new program with the red green? And then Allan, she's asking you if they're using their money or your money, or kind of how you have that set up. You can choose to share that or not, depending on how much.
No, it's all my
money. It's all your money.
It's all my money.
Yeah. Now, when you talk about the red and green, you're talking about Scoutify, right?
No, I'm talking about a tool called ScanGenie. If you go to scangenieapp.com, they do have that tool that I use for building for teams, for sourcing teams, and that's the one I use.
Okay. Doesn't Scoutify have a red-green system too?
Yes. Scoutify has an option where if it gives you a red, that means that it didn't meet your criteria, the settings that you put on the app.
Right.
This other one, ScanGenie, what they do is you set up all of your categories and all of your criteria in the website, and then whoever uses the app, they don't have to know anything about arbitrage. They just have to know that if it's a green, you buy it. If it's a red, you skip it.
Yeah.
So in order to build a sourcing team, and if you don't want to teach them how to do it, because some people, they are afraid that once they know how to do it, they will probably open their own Amazon store and start selling. They can use apps like these ones where they don't have to know anything about it, just being able to scan and then buy products.
Yeah, and if you want just good material on learning how to use those tools, check out the link below and go to our membership, because we work deep dives on all of these, and they really help. Again, when I first made an investment in a membership with Just One Dime, the investment I made was quickly shown to be more than worth it, because this tool helped me do this, and this tool helped me do this, and it all produced revenue. It all produced efficiencies in the way I did business, helped me to scale, helped me to make better decisions, and it's been a benefit ever since. Yasuo says that you shouldn't expect Amazon to pay right away. They hold your money a while. I'm not sure what that comment's about. We get paid bi-weekly. So if that's what you're saying, they do hold it until it's time for you to get your paycheck, which is 2 weeks out, unless there's some major problem with your account and you've violated some sort of terms of service that is kind of causing them to reevaluate things and to hold your money. But in general, we get paid every couple of weeks, and it works out fine. Wheelbarrow, welcome to the program. When doing arbitrage, do you still charge sales tax? How would you respond to that, Allan?
Yeah, well, Amazon is going to charge sales tax and collect and do everything for a lot of states, but some of the states you have to be you are responsible for them, but you don't have to worry about those until you're doing a lot of sales for each state. So it's nothing that it's gonna it's gonna start happening right away, but it's something that you have to monitor as part of your business until you're ready to, or you have to declare taxes and submit taxes for each state. And we do have a lot of training about taxes in our membership. That's a topic that is a little bit complex, so it's not a straight answer. But we are responsible for taxes, and we have to monitor that every month on our business.
Yeah, and I have a local tax expert here in Vermont that I have a relationship with who is really helpful, and I pay quarterly tax to the state of Vermont to reflect sales tax. But that's just my situation here as I follow the instructions of my local tax guy. Salima asks, do you have students who are doing arbitrage in other countries other than the U.S.? Are the products sold same as U.S.? We do. We have a lot of members, actually. It might even be the majority of our members. It'd be interesting to break it down and see, but we have a lot of members who sell from an international location. They're located internationally, but they sell in the U.S. They sell on a .com website. The way they do that is they use a service like Payoneer or something else to set up a U.S.-based bank account. They have a U.S.-based credit card. They're able to set up their Amazon Seller Central account such that that they can do business on the .com website right here in the U.S. So now they go and do online arbitrage, and they use various sources to do that, and they can have their items shipped directly to a prep center. What a prep center does is it receives all those items, prepares them to be shipped into Amazon FBA so that those items will be sold and fulfilled by Amazon. And the prep center will do everything necessary to accomplish that for you, so that then your items are sent to Amazon FBA and are being sold on Amazon.com. And so we have a lot of international sellers that do that. And the prep center can handle returns for you, or if there's other problems, they can kind of be a mediator or a go-between, and they can help with that. Are the products sold same as US? Yeah, I mean, they're offered on the .com website. So our international members who do that are doing arbitrage really the same way Allan is, the same way I am. They're just taking advantage of a prep center to help them accomplish that. We have a question right here locally from Marina, who says, how do you send your items for Amazon to prep? So it's somewhat related. Basically, you want to take your product after buying it off the shelf, having done RA, or after it comes to your house. Oh, she just put it on YouTube. Marina made her way over to YouTube, asked the same question. Or when your online purchases come to your house, you want to make sure that those items are fully prepared so that when a customer receives them, they'll be 100% satisfied. And so you've got to imagine, even if Amazon's doing a good job with its warehouses, there's going to be opportunity for damage and opportunity for things to get dirty. So I don't want to take, a T-shirt and just slap a label on it and throw it in a box. You want to fold it nicely, put it in a poly bag that's going to protect it, that's going to allow the customer to see the item nicely folded when they get it, and it's going to be clean. You want to make sure that any clearance labels are removed. The item's just prepared and looks nice, doesn't have a clearance price on it, and is then packaged accordingly with bubble wrap or anything that's needed. And then you have to put an FN SKU on it, which allows Amazon to know that this item is associated with your account and the listing that you put in your managed inventory. And then the cool thing about Amazon FBA is you can, as is stated in the question, you can send all of them in a box together. And so you're going to create a shipment through Amazon Seller Central, and you're going to take all those products. I try to have 100 or 200 products at the same time, and you package them up and ship them, and then your shipping cost is relatively low. It can be as low as 20 to 25 cents per item, which if you're trying to sell on eBay or you're doing fulfilled by merchant, you have to absorb that shipping cost for individual products yourself. Now, Amazon's going to require you to send most times to multiple fulfillment centers. So you can't usually put it all in one box, but you can often do it in 3 or 4 boxes.
I was very lucky that this last shipment, I thought I was gonna have to send it to a lot of different warehouses, and at the end of how well, actually I use Inventory Lab to create my shipment. So on Inventory Lab, every time you put the ASIN number and everything on your shipment, it tells you this item you might need to send it to potentially these 2 warehouses. Just break it off and send it. At the end of the whole thing, we had 26 boxes, close to 1,200 pounds, and Amazon decided to send everything to Dallas, which is like 4 hours from here from Houston. And for 1,200 pounds, 26 boxes, I'm paying $288.
That's amazing.
We went out to celebrate last night because that's a saving of at least half of the shipping that we usually pay. And I'm sure Amazon is very busy right now, so they just decided just send everything to this warehouse right here.
Well, in that situation, my suspicion is that location in Dallas is a distribution center and not a fulfillment center. And so what will happen is balanced products will go to that center, and then Amazon will use that center to distribute the products across the U.S. But that's fun for him.
Yeah, but I don't have to pay that whole transferring. So that's the fun part.
Now that's rare, so I don't.
Yes.
You're watching the program. Don't assume that's going to happen for you. I've had times when you send in 25 products and they send it to 4 different locations, and you want to go crazy. And And when you have shoes as a part of your shipment, they almost always go to separate fulfillment centers. So they'll take your shoes and break them into 2 fulfillment centers, and they'll take the rest of your items and break them into 2 or 3 centers. And so sometimes you can have like 5 different shipments because of that.
Yeah.
Junior Garcia, Allan says that he's been driving 15 years and had a business that failed, and he just wants out of my truck and to be able to spend more time at home with his family. You know, I'd say click the link below and look into our membership. It's worth the investment, and you could find that, like Allan, you're able to move out of that situation. And when you sell on Amazon, one of the cool things about e-commerce is it gives you massive flexibility. You can do your online business from different locations, different times of the day. You can have it work around your other schedules. So definitely something worth looking into for that reason alone.
Yeah.
If February through June is slow, what have you had luck selling, Allan? Again, we don't, it's hard to recommend specific products for any season, but would you have an answer?
I just go back to the main categories that we sell. We sell home and kitchen, sports and outdoors. We sell shoes and clothing, and then a little bit of outdoors, patio and lawn garden, and that's pretty much all the main categories that we sell. And then the other category, we sell quite a few things, but the profit is very low, so I don't really talk a lot about that because it doesn't meet my usual criteria. That's gonna be groceries. We do sell a lot of groceries. A lot of people like to sell groceries, but the profits are very low. So that's not a main category that I recommend because you're gonna find a lot of stuff and you can sell a lot of stuff, but usually the profit is gonna be the profit amount is gonna be very low.
Good. I skipped one. What's the highest BSR for a product you will buy? We tend to recommend to stay under 2%. So it depends on the category. 100,000 BSR in books is way different than 100,000 BSR in baby, because books is such a huge category. The 100,000 BSR is pretty low.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on the category, and it depends a little bit on whether you want to play around with long tail items. So once in a while, when I have a really big margin on a product, I'm willing to buy it if it has a higher BSR. What the higher BSR is telling me, though, is that it's likely going to take longer to sell. But if it's a listing that I don't have much competition and the margin's really steep, maybe it's kind of more of a collectible or a novelty item, and I have the potential of making big money on it, but it's just not the kind of item a ton of people buy, I might buy it just knowing it's a long tail item, and maybe I'll keep it and sell it as FBM. Or I just know because the margin's so big, I'll send it in FBA, and I don't stress if it takes a long time to sell. But that's kind of a unique long tail situation. In general, stay under 2%, and which in the major categories typically means you're under 200,000. But those are generalities, and the membership is a great place to go and try to get feedback on real specific things in regard to BSR. Millie tried to get approval from Amazon to sell athletic shoes, and one of the requirements was to submit a receipt showing 10 items. Is that really a requirement to get approved? Yes, it is. And you need more than just a receipt. You need an invoice from an authorized distributor or manufacturer or something like that. So typically when you're doing arbitrage, if you try to get approval from Amazon to sell a restricted item or within a restricted category, if they don't give you automatic approval, which they will do sometimes, which is why we recommend to always try to get approval on restricted products. Sometimes you'll get automatic approval. If you don't, and they require this paperwork, for most of us, most of the time, we're just going to see that as a no, you're not approved, and we recommend to move on to something else. Now, if you have a special relationship with a distributor or something, and you really want to try to get approval, it's certainly possible to do with that documentation, but it requires special paperwork, not just receipts from a retailer. Irene, welcome with us. What are the amounts of items that you purchase? Is there a minimum to sell on Amazon? Allan, how do you usually approach quantities with arbitrage?
I like to buy maximum 3 to 5 items of each product. I don't buy 20 or 50 of the same product, even if it's a good product the first time. So once I sold something and it sells fast, and I know that I can maybe go back and buy more, then I keep buying more products of the same. But the first time I buy something, I buy 3, sometimes 5 units maximum, and then I scale from there. There's been some products that I end up in a 2-3 month period, I end up selling a few dozens or sometimes even 100 units of that same product. But I started with 3, and then I started buying more as we started getting more sales. So I always test first before I start buying big quantities. And how many? What was it? What's the is there a minimum to sell on Amazon? There is no minimum, but if you have a lot of inventory that is not selling, Amazon will put restrictions or on the amount of inventory you can hold on the warehouse. So you have to be very careful of buying products that are not gonna be selling fast, because every 3 months Amazon lets you know, okay, you still have unlimited amount of inventory that you can warehouse or you can store in our warehouse, or they will say, based on your performance, you have now a limited amount of space.
Good. Yeah. Right on your main page of your Amazon Seller Central account, about halfway down on the right, you have your IPI chart, and it'll go red to green when your performance is good. That's your inventory performance index. And yeah, having empty listings in your managed inventory or having long overdue items will do just what Allan mentioned. Selima clarified that she meant international sellers doing arbitrage in other countries, not the U.S. We do have members that do that, less of them, but certainly, there's a great way to do Amazon sales in Canada, in Mexico, in the UK, in India. These bigger locations, and there are international sellers that are taking advantage of those markets, either in addition to .com, or that's where their focus is. That's what their preference is to do sales in those countries. So yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways that you can approach it, especially if you're in an international location. And there's people who live in the U.S. that are doing sales in those other markets. They're not just focused on the United States. So there's a lot of different ways that sellers are doing that. What type of labeling machine options are there? I just use a Brother printer it uses toner so that if it gets wet, it's not a big deal. And I print all of my labels, all of my invoices, really all my FN SKUs, shipping labels, everything I do with that Brother printer, and it's worked great. Allan, what other options do you know about?
I use it's called thermal printer. It's let me see. I'll show it to you.
Is it a Dymo?
It's a Dymo label writer, and it uses the little labels on a roll, so I can just print 1 or 2 of each. And this is pretty much what I use to when I'm doing my shipments. It's a lot faster because I put, I have this item, I have 5 of them, and it just prints 5 labels. I put them on, and then they're ready to go.
Well, I don't know, Allan. My system might be faster. If I'm sending in 150 items, I just put in 5 pages of 30 labels, and I print off all 150, and I just label FN SKUs like a ninja.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of different options, and what's fun about that is you can just figure out what works best for you. Right. One cool thing that Amazon just did recently is they, when you complete your shipment, they actually have different options now, and one of them is a thermal printer.
Yes.
So that's a nice upgrade that they've made.
Right.
And right away in our membership, we have tons of resources, and one of them is you can go to a page where we've listed all the products that you need to do prep in your workshop, with links where you could go and purchase those products. So, if you've never sold on Amazon before, and you really want help walking through that process, the membership below that you'll find in the description is a really helpful place to go, because we're going to talk to you about how to set up your Amazon seller account, how to buy initial products, how to prep, just like Marina was asking, all the details that go into prepping and getting your listings in your managed inventory, everything you need to know right from the beginning. Marina asks, if I don't sell 40 items a month, is it advisable to downgrade your seller account? What she's asking about is there's two options. You can set up your Amazon seller account as an individual seller, and that's free, and it limits some of your some of the things that you can do with the Seller Central account. But then you're also charged $1 for every item that you sell. If you set up a professional account, that's $39.99 a month. There's a subscription fee, but now that dollar fee per item is waived. So once you sell 40 items a month, professional account, that's right, it pays for itself in theory. So Marina's asking, if you don't sell 40 a month, would you downgrade your seller account? I don't think so. I mean, even if you sell 35 a month, the subscription technically is only cost you $5. And I just think, 40 items that's nearly only one item a day. And if you're doing any kind of thoughtful arbitrage, you're going to have more than that. Individual seller accounts, I know a lot of people who have set up an Amazon Seller Central account and they use it to just sell a couple household items. They maybe sell 4 or 5 items a year because, they bought a book and never read it, or they were gifted something and they just kind of use it as a platform to do like a yard sale. And in that case, I would say get an individual account. But no, Marina, if you're doing arbitrage and you're working at any deliberate, thoughtful, consistent approach, I would focus on a professional account and just do what it takes to get up to 40 items a month. It wouldn't be a lot of effort. You could do just a couple hours a week of arbitrage and come up with that many items, I'm convinced. Allan, Truth and Reason wants to know what Inventory Lab offers that Amazon Seller Central doesn't. You use Inventory Lab. What are a couple of the advantages to having it?
I like it because I'm able to create my shipments through Inventory Lab, and to me it's a little bit easier to manage because I can start my shipment today, add a few products, and then tomorrow I add a couple more products, and then the next day I finish it up, and I didn't have to touch Amazon until I finish it up. Then it syncs everything and it links everything to Amazon, so I have more time to work on it. The other thing that I like is that as soon as I put the item that I'm gonna sell, I can add the cost of the item, so it starts tracking, profits and percentages and everything. And Inventory Lab syncs with Amazon, so I can have all my accounting within the software. I can add my expenses. I can add other income if I have income from eBay or other stores that I sell. And at the end of the day, I just go to my reports. I print my profit and loss. I have everything that the Amazon charged me, including cost, which you cannot, add to your Seller Central account. And I can keep track of everything. With the reports, I can see what are the suppliers that I'm selling the most items a month. What are the categories that I'm selling the most? And for example, if I see that I'm selling very good in one category, but my ROI is low, but I'm selling, another category, I have a bigger ROI, I can say, okay, I'm gonna focus on this category because that's where I'm getting the most ROI. So I can make educated decisions on my business and how to grow my business and a lot of things that they're automatically just because you're starting your process through Inventory Lab.
Good. Allan, where can Chan find seller's insurance?
I get it through my personal insurance, but if you go to Progressive Commercial, they do tend to have insurance for online e-commerce sellers, and they have pretty good, reasonable rates.
Good. Yeah. If you have homeowners insurance, Chan, you can speak to whoever does that, and they might be able to serve you really nicely as well for a less amount. So that's a good option for homeowners. All right, last thing, let's see if we can help Matthew a little bit here, Allan. He's having trouble completing the application that he needs to get a seller account set up. And he's kind of in a situation where he has to wait for his first checking account statement. The only other option you can think of is a credit card statement. Is there any way to kind of expedite this process that you're aware of, Allan?
No, not that I'm. If they're asking you for the checking statement.
Well, Allan froze up for me here. I think what he's going to say there is that if they're asking for that checking account statement, that's really what you need, and it might require you to wait that out and to push through, Matthew. So feel free to email me at eric@justonedime.com, and I kind of want to follow that up because I don't know exactly how to answer your question. I do think often when Amazon requires specific documents, you've got to follow through with those documents. There might be a way that you could communicate with a checking account to get a partial statement or get a statement sooner, and that would be an option to move forward with as well. So sorry we couldn't complete that in a more helpful way, Matthew, but again, email me, and I'll give more thought to this and do some research and see if I can't follow up with you. Well, guys, it's 1 o'clock Central Standard Time, and we have completed our hour, and you guys brought some great questions. It was an encouraging time. It was a thoughtful time, and so thank you for that. We will be here again next Saturday. It's December 28th. We'll be right between Christmas and New Year's, but we'll be here going live, and I invite you to join us. Guys, have a great Christmas. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and get busy selling on Amazon and doing arbitrage. And I hope for you it means good margin and a great opportunity to gain freedom in your budget. So, guys, take care, and we'll see you next time.